going on, guys? It's Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA, ProWrestlingAuthority.com, soon to be FrontProofMedia.com. Thanks for tuning in to the live stream. We're going to be recapping UFC Albany, UFC 206, which so many people were talking shit about before it happened. And what happens, it ends up being one of the best pay-per-views of the year. We're going to be discussing that. We have an open live chat room if you guys want to chat with one another. Make sure to subscribe down below. We do a live show every Wednesday night with the infamous Ted Check, so you guys do not want to miss out on that. We're going to be discussing Fight of the Night. We're going to see if Mr. Judd was right. One of our Twitter followers sent us the audio from his predictions. As you guys all know, podcast is up on iTunes, Podbean.com. The new schedule, we're going to be doing it every Monday night, so you'll be able to hear it Tuesday morning, whether you're going to work, heading to the gym, whatever you're doing in the morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are in the world. I know we got listeners from all over the world, so we're all trying to keep up with this wacky time of the MMA. And, I had a couple of my listeners say, Wednesday, Thursday is a little later in the week. So by the time we listen to it, we're already ready for next week. So I'm going to listen to you guys Monday night. New podcast will be released. But check out episode number 29. Before last week, we actually had Mayhem Miller on, if you guys want to check that out, episode number 28. And then last week, or this week, we had Shamrock FC CEO Jesse Finney come on. And he discussed UFC, not UFC. Well, he discussed the MMA AA. We talked about Shamrock FC 300 if they're going to do a big card. We actually had a really inspirational guest, AJ Cisco, Bellator vet, who found out that he had cancer. Doctor said he had a 90% chance that he wasn't going to make it. He did not listen to them. He believed that he was going to get better. Doctor told him he would never fight again. He was like, nah, I will fight again. Less than a year later, guys, he goes back to fight Shamrock FC 279 and comes out victorious. Very inspirational story. You got to check it out on podbean.com, iTunes. Check out Pure Evil MMA episode number 29. Let's talk about this weekend's crazy long events between Derek Lewis and his opponent. I'm not even going to try to announce his name. Such a difficult one. And then Holloway versus Pettis. What card you guys like the best so far this year? We're going to be doing a whole show on the ceremony of the end of the year with a whole bunch of guests from Bloody Elbow to Mean Gene's fight scene. We're going to have a bunch of guests on, so you guys can look forward to that right after the Ronda Rousey fight. So Derek Lewis going in there, he wasn't happy with his performance. He kept saying, man, that was a bullshit performance. I'm sorry, yo. How do you not love Derek Lewis? I mean, it kind of seemed like he was moving backwards, because his last opponent was Roy Nelson. So you would think they would kind of, heavy the pot a little bit. But, his opponent put up one hell of a fight, was one tough dude. But the ref was even like, dude, you got to fight back or we're taking a point. You got to do something here. And he went right to his corner. His corner's like, don't mind all that. Ends up getting TKO'd at the end of the night. So round 4, Derek Lewis, even though he got the TKO, he was not happy with his performance. He did a great job, though. You do not want to mess around. It just seemed like he was it took him a while to warm up, which we're used to seeing. He had to go 5 rounds. He wasn't really, you don't want to see those guys go 5 rounds. They get tired. And I think he did a great job keeping it slow, but he really needed to pick it up more because he lost that first, second, and third round, remember. So he needed to do something or else he was going to lose to this guy. And it was awesome to get the victory because he was supposed to originally fight, what was it? It was the BJ Penn Ricardo Lamas card, I think it was. And he was actually one of the first fighters to fly out there. And then they banned it. They were like, nope, we're not doing that card. They had a whole bunch of problems. They wanted to test not only did they want to test the fighters, they wanted to test the cornermen. They wanted to test everyone. There was a whole bunch of issues behind it. Then we all know what happened with that. But Derek Lewis, who's deathly afraid of even getting on the airplane, flew down there. He was like, man, I didn't even pick a day. He was like, it just felt right. I was like, I'm going to do it. Let's go right now. So he headed out there, got on the plane, sucked up, and then all of a sudden, nope, no more. You got to fly back home. And that's not a short trip either. So he really wanted to be reimbursed for this fight, but they gave him an opponent. They gave him the headline event. His opponent was actually ranked 15, so he wasn't like a nobody. We've seen him fight before. It's just very hard name to pronounce. That's really it. He had a 17-4 record, 35 years old, Shamil, fighting out of Russia. Both these dudes are 6'3", just absolute giants. But, his last fight was actually, he won against Walt Harris. He beat Anthony Hamilton. His last loss was actually to Anthony Johnson. So going in there, somebody like Derek Lewis is one hell of a test. It would have been an awesome win if Shamil ended up getting that, but Derek Lewis going in there, inflicting the damage. We all expected it. He wasn't happy with it, but were you guys? I think he deserves a pat on the back, but you know what? Brian Stan said it the best. He said, it's good that he's realizing that he's not happy with his performance. We're going to see growth from that. He wasn't winning the fight, guys. He was upset with himself. And when you see somebody upset with themselves, you know that they're going to go back in there and put in work. And he wasn't celebrating. He knew that he wasn't putting on the spectacle show that we all wanted with the knockout. But his opponent was one tough son of a bee. Had a great game plan. He wasn't really fighting back, but he was waiting for Derek Lewis to throw this leg kick. And I don't know why he kept doing it. He kept throwing this leg kick, and he would get caught, and he would get taken down. First, second, and third. He just kept doing it. I don't know what the point in doing that was, if he thought, he could get taken down and just get right back up, which we usually see, or flip him over, because remember, he said he was going to end the fight like this. He was going to end the fight on top with a vicious ground and pound. I don't know what the game plan was, but that leg kick wasn't helping at all. So also in the night, Francis Ngannou fighting, and he fought Hamilton. Anthony Hamilton. It was another really, I hear Angie yelling at the dogs. Another really good fight, but Hamilton's hot and cold. Ngannou, it was a good pickup win for him, without a doubt. Getting that submission, the brute force, just grabbing that arm and just jerking it. Getting that first round submission. Brian Stan was absolutely blown away. Another quick question, guys. What did you think of Brian Stan's commentating last night? Or Friday night? Because I thought it was a lot better than we usually see with him. And I'm a big fan of Brian Stan. I'm a huge fan of his fighting. I like how they're switching it up. But you could tell the difference when Joe Rogan's on the mic. He breaks everything down perfectly. That's what I like hearing. Hearing knowledge, MMA knowledge. Hearing what Brian Stan would do. Hear what's going on. Just like Joe Rogan does. I love that part about it. We saw, Dan Hardy doing the same thing last weekend as well. I like how they're picking that up more. I just don't want to see Joe Rogan leave. There are rumors that Goldie and Joe Rogan are hitting the road because these new owners, they just let Chuck Liddell go. They just let Matt Hughes go. So it's almost like family, letting family go. Absolutely nuts. So another standout fight on that card. What did you guys think deserved fight of the night? Was it the Derek Lewis fight? Was it Francis Ngannou getting that submission that way? Corey Anderson versus O'Connell, round 2 KO. Corey Anderson looked phenomenal in there. Bellant, he did an amazing job as well, getting the round 2 TKO. Ashley Yoder versus Keish. Keish won. Brown Camozzi's little brother. I don't know what to really say about that. Brown's a tough opponent. That was definitely a tough opponent and debut fight for him. Ends up getting knocked out in the second round. Wasn't the best performance. He did look pretty good in the beginning of the fight, but he just wasn't looking sharp. He wasn't sharp. He was kind of sloppy. And I don't want to say that I never bash fighters. I'm just giving what I saw. I think that he could do a lot better than that, honestly. We're going to have to wait and see. I'm excited for him. And then Sanchez. Round 3 decision. Let's move on to UFC 206. Let me know what you guys thought about that night, though. Lima was on that card, beating JJ Aldrich. Start the night off. Let's jump into UFC 206. This was an exciting fight. You guys all heard my predictions. I thought Showtime Pettis was going to do a great job, but as soon as we saw that he missed weight, we knew that there was going to be trouble. And I say this on every episode. I don't like giving my predictions out early just because of this. I like seeing, I'm huge with like empathy and all that. I feel like you can tell a lot about a person just by their expressions on their face, the way they're talking. Missing weight is a huge, like, oh shit, you're going to have a long night, man. 145 is just not for Showtime Pettis. I thought that he could go down here, make 145 and showcase his striking and kicking against Max Holloway, but Max is just too fast, man. Putting together some great combos. stunning Showtime Pettis a few times in that fight. We're going to be reviewing that in just a second. Let's take a quick rewind back. We had Donald Cerrone going there against Matt Brown. This was one hell of a fight. Totally fight of the night in my opinion. Cowboy, that loss to RDA really rebooted him. I think that he's ready. Going up to 170 pounds is perfect for Cowboy. Just like they were saying on Joe Rogan Experience or Fighter and the Kid. They were saying we were seeing a diminished Cowboy at lightweight. 170, he's looking amazing. You're seeing Cowboy at his best. Going in there against Matt Brown, who's having a real rough year, guys. Shout out to Matt Brown, man. He's one tough son of a bitch, but he's having one rough year. Remember, he was down in Brazil fighting who's he fighting? Damian Maia. Fighting Damian Maia. He went on the weigh-in scale to take a selfie. Didn't end up getting the phone from his corner, so he had his back to the crowd and everyone was booing him. So he gave the double birds. Everyone went nuts. And then when he was making his walkout that night, on fight night, people were grabbing at him, ripping at his hat, punching him. Then he goes in there and gets submitted by Damian Maia. Then the following day, the day after the fight, he gets attacked by an ex-teammate. Like, oh my, you guys remember that from earlier in the year? That was absolutely crazy. He's having a rough time in there. He's still on the rankings though. 14. The rankings will be rebooted, but he doesn't move down anything because Cowboy was tough. But the immortal Matt Brown gets taken out last night. The striking condition and conditioning on Brown was no match for Cowboy's Muay Thai. The Muay Thai kick was absolutely crazy. Now, Matt Brown also lost to Jake Ellenberger, who had his back up against the wall before this fight. And then before that, Damian Maia, his last win was against Tim Means, 2015, in July of 2015. So he's not having a good year. I do not think the UFC would ever cut Matt Brown. I don't see him being cut by any means. He's just, sometimes you see this. You see this in all sports. You see this in baseball, basketball. Sometimes you're seeing it with Showtime Pettis right now. Sometimes their head's just not in the right place. Something needs to change. I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to give you my opinion. I don't know what these guys do, but something definitely needs to change. When you see somebody getting 3 losses back to back to back, you know something's wrong, something's up, something needs to change, or something's changed about them. You know, everyone experiences different peaks. I don't think it's over for Matt Brown at all. I'm not saying that. And you'll never hear me say, oh, fighters are, I'll never say that. And Matt Brown, no way. Cowboy Cerrone is just on a whole new level right now. We saw him lose against RDA. He kind of choked in that fight. A lot of people were giving him a shit for that. But we remember Cowboy Cerrone from the WEC days beating everyone. 32-7 record. Amazing striking. Submissions in Muay Thai. You know, beating Rick Story at UFC 202. And Patrick Cote. Do you guys not remember that fight? Patrick Cote, the legendary chin of Patrick Cote, got tested that night. This was right after the RDA fight, I'm pretty sure. You know, we saw a new Cowboy Cerrone. We know a lot what's going on with his grandmother. The huge family man. He's trained down at his ranch down there with a bunch of guys. And a lot of people were saying that he kind of chokes when it's, you know, the big stars. RDA knocked him out in the first round. I don't know what was going on with that. We didn't see the regular Cowboy that we usually see. Not sharp, not striking. Was really shy, trigger shy. RDA just bullied him. And usually when you see guys try to bully Cowboy Cerrone, that's lights out nightmare. We just saw that last night with Matt Brown. So he's just been absolutely sharp coming off these couple of wins. Alex Oliveira beating. No, it was Alex Oliveira. That's right. It was the Brazilian Cowboy was after the RDA fight. That's right, guys. My bad on that. So now he's on a 4-fight win streak. All these fights. So the RDA fight was December 19th. So since then, he's put together a win over Brazilian Cowboy, Patrick Cote, Rick Story, and now Matt Brown. What's next for him? I'll tell you what's next. He calls out Damian Maia. I asked you guys what you thought about this. You said that you think he should go up against Masvidal. I think that would be another great fight. I think this deserved $50K. Matt Brown, do not think they're going to give him the pink slip. Just something needs to change there. Also on this card, Cub Swanson. I almost had a heart attack during this fight against Choi. You know, Choi has literally stunned the world since he came over to the UFC. He does not look like he should be fighting. He'll say it himself. You know, he beat Thiago Tavares. He's beat Sam Sicilia. He's had 3 straight wins up until this fight. If he beat somebody like Cub Swanson, and he was a 3-1 favorite in this fight, boy, Swanson was a 3-1 underdog, which he thought was kind of a piss in the face. The veteran fighter. You got this new kid coming up, and Cub Swanson, he's got a chin on him. So does this young kid. Cub even said it. He was like, this dude, just his recovery. I was so shocked with how fast he was recovering from my shots. He almost got taken out a few times, back and forth, back and forth. People on Twitter were saying that this was fight of the year. Now, if we look at it as an undercard, without a doubt, it's going to be top 5, without a doubt. At the end of the show, we're going to be rating this 5-star system. So we're going to see what you guys can come up with on that. But it went all 3 rounds. Imagine if Joy got the win over this. That would have been huge for him. That would have been huge. Cub Swanson, man, he said it himself. He was like, I'm so happy Conor McGregor's not in this division anymore. He was holding it up. I don't agree with that, though. I'm a huge fan of Cub, but I don't agree with that. I think Conor McGregor helped your division. Helped the whole UFC in a whole. It's not like he went 2 years without defending the belt. He didn't even go. It was less than a year, guys. He wasn't holding anything up. DC has had the belt for almost a year since he's defended against Gustafsson. I don't agree with that, but Cub Swanson, man, what's next for him? The featherweight division is just stacked, and it has so many great fighters in there. Chad Mendes, I thought would be a great fight, but he's out for 2 years. He kind of screwed up. But Cub, man, putting it together. Remember his last fight against Kawajiri, and before that, beating Hakran Diaz. His last loss was to Max Holloway, 2015. No, Max is just on fire, man. Absolutely on fire. That could be a fight of the year potential. Then Tim Kennedy versus Kelvin Gastelum. First round, Tim Kennedy looked amazing. You could tell he was happy to get back in there, but gassed out. Kelvin Gastelum wins. He really needed this win. I don't think the UFC would have cut him if he lost. We had this discussion on the show, but he really needed to pick up this win. And remember, this was his return fight from the Stoolgate. That was the last time he fought. So I don't know, guys. I'm happy that he returned. Kelvin Gastelum needed that win, and that it is what it is. Let's see what else set out on this card. We got Krylov, Turkinov, Robin Mercier versus Drew Dober in the second round submission. We've been seeing that a lot from him. You know, what's going on with Cody Pfister? Where's Cody Pfister been? We saw him lose against Sage Northcutt. I was a huge fan of him. I wonder when he's coming back. If you guys know anything about that, let me know. But all about Mercier, UFC 206, it was teased with GSP fighting Michael Bisping. It was teased with Michael Bisping maybe fighting Nick Diaz. It was teased with even TC versus Johnson. And it just proved that you don't need any of those guys. When you have a fight in Canada and you have a bunch of Canadian fighters on the card, you got people like Aubin Mercier. Come on, man. You're going to sell out. And Valerie Letourneau, not happy with the way the judges scored this card. Her opponent was undefeated, Pereira. I don't know what's next for her. She said that she wanted to retire if she didn't get this win. And you know what? I don't think she should. I know that life's catching up with her, but sometimes you really got to make a change. Sometimes something needs to change. I don't know. They did a whole special on Valerie Letourneau coming into this. Very inspiring story. Amazing fighter. She had a very tough opponent. We don't know her personally in the UFC. But her opponent is undefeated. She's 23 years old, and the striking power on this girl. Huge debut win for her. Vivian Pereira. Fighting out of Brazil. Girl's only 5 feet tall. So she did a great job going in there against Valerie Trouble. Scary, though. Scary for Valerie. I don't want to see that girl leave the UFC. I think she has a lot more left in her journey. Makdessi losing to Venata. That was my favorite fight on this card, guys, without a doubt. We saw Lando in that fight against Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson just beat RDA. Whipped him 5 rounds. Going up against there, and then Lando Veneta. It was his debut fight, took it on short notice. So we didn't get the full training camp. It was a huge debut for him against a tough motherfucker. And he gets highlight reel kick on his opponent last night of Makdessi in the first round. Literally just walked away. It was so badass. It was exactly what we wanted, what we expected, what we prayed for this guy. I can't wait to see what's next for him. We were so excited. You know who else we were really excited about? Bilal Muhammad, who's made his splash in the UFC. Not doing that well because he did lose that fight at UFC 205. But I'm still just as excited as I was at the beginning of the year to see what's next for him. But there's no doubting Lando here. There's no doubting Lando. He's going to be one of the stars in this division. Taking out the Bull last night. Amazing. Makdessi, I think that it might be lights out for him, though. I don't know. I don't like saying that, but I think he would do better in Bellator. Hot and cold. He puts together like 3 fights. But here, let's take a look. Before last night, he had a win over Mehdi Baghdad from Ultimate Fighter. And before that, UFC 194, he lost to Yancy Medeiros. Before that, he lost to Cowboy, tough opponent. And then before that, UFC 186, Shane Campbell went over Shane Campbell. Hot and cold. I don't know what's next for Makdessi. But those were definitely the fights that stood out to me. Let's get into our main event, though. So Max Holloway coming into this fight, he seemed real confident. Really, really confident coming into this fight. Really relaxed, calm. And when you see that, you know it's going to be dangerous. You see that with people like John Bones Jones. You see that with people not working themselves up is a huge factor. You don't want to get too hyped up. Like, all right, I'm now the main event. I could be an interim champion. This will lock and seal my place to go for the title. He didn't want that to get into his head, especially going up against Showtime Pettis. But he even said it himself, as soon as he found out that Showtime missed weight, he knew it was going to be a long night for him. First punch, Showtime Pettis breaks his hand. I thought we were going to see more kicks from Showtime. You guys can tell I lost my voice last night from screaming at the TV. I thought we would see more kicks from Showtime last night, but the speed of Holloway, he just couldn't get him off. He was just getting chewed up by Max's overhand, the combos, the counters. He was just putting it too much together, just breaking the body down slow. Huge body shots. The heart is there, but the heart is not there for Showtime anymore. I know that he had a broken hand. He's an amazing fighter, but 145. I guess it's just not for Pettis. And he said it in his last fight. I mean, it was an amazing win that he got off of Cowboy Oliveira. Amazing win, but he had a tough weight cut then too. And then don't forget, guys, he's got a lot going on at home. He had his 2 cars that were lit on fire here. I think I got the image on here somewhere. 2 cars were lit on fire in his driveway. He took it pretty easy, though. He was taking selfies in front of it. What I got here. And I think it was just, between the weight cut, not being able to make weight, and then even if he won, he wasn't going to be the interim champion. I don't think he has the heart anymore. And I don't really want to bash him too much. I just don't think that 145 is a good division for him. I think he's great at 155. He just needs to... What does he need to do, guys? What does he need to do here? I love the fight camp that he's at. It doesn't get better than where's fight camp. The guys he trains with. It doesn't get better than that. That Duke Rufus. What's going on here? What needs to change? Max Holloway, now he's going to seal the title shot. Where's Jose Aldo? Jose Waldo. That's the new shot. A lot of people were saying that Max Holloway is being rude last night. I got to disagree. This is exactly what you have to do. If you want people to be respectful, you don't want them bashing heads, starting up beef, getting on the mic, speaking their mind. Muay Thai is the sport for you, because that's where you're going to see the most respect from fighters. In this day and age, we're seeing that the more you voice yourself, the more you hype the crowd. I'm not saying WWE style, but just be real. Let the people know who you are. Make connection. Be yourself. Speak your mind. Call your shots. Where you need to call your shots now. You need to make sure that the UFC gets the perfect promo cut for you. Max Holloway did it great last night. Hashtag where's Jose Waldo? You know how many people were tweeting that last night? Go check your Twitter account. That's what you need to do. Tony Ferguson didn't do that. Khabib tried to do it. Max Holloway killed it. Gotta love it. And he said that he wants to defend the belt just like Mighty Mouse does. And it's kind of a shame because now he has 10-fight win streak. All that time that he should have been in that title shot. Since his loss with Conor McGregor, he put together 10 fights. Now, I'm not big on rematches. I know that people are saying, well, they gave Conor an immediate rematch against Nate. That wasn't even for a title. That was just for your ego. That was just to get the train back on. And I'm happy that fight happened. But Max Holloway, after you go 10 fights, there's no doubt in you. You can't doubt this dude. Going there against Jose Aldo, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there. I was kind of excited for Showtime Pettis versus Jose Aldo, but then again, that's a fight that should have happened years ago. Pettis kind of, I don't want to say he doesn't have heart anymore. I know he broke his hand, but honestly, 145 is not for him. Holloway getting the title shot next. He said he'll even defend the interim belt 10 times if he needs to. Let me know what you guys think. It's been a crazy week in MMA. The new podcast is up on iTunes, podbean.com. We're doing it live every Wednesday night, me and Ted Check on YouTube right here. So subscribe down below, guys. This week we talked about Chuck Liddell leaving the UFC. We talked about Matt Hughes leaving the UFC. Cyborg not defending or not wanting to take the title shot. What's going on with that? Talk about that for a quick second. I just spoke about this on the podcast up on Apple iTunes, podbean.com. Pure Evil MMA episode number 29. Episode before that with Mayhem Miller. But, oh my God, why would Cyborg say no to this? 145-pound belt. We're going to build a division around you. We did it for Ronda. You fought twice in the UFC. Everyone wants to see this happen. Let's do it. And Cyborg turns it down. She says it's the weight cut. She says, she had to fight catchweight at 140. She said she can't even make 145. She needs to make her body recover. Now, is this a tactic saying that she wants to call the shots here? Because she was also promoting having a seasoned Ultimate Fighter, just like they did with DJ just now. Have a bunch of girls at 145 fight, and the winner will fight Cyborg. Build a division. We saw this with the Ronda Rousey Miesha Tate season after Strikeforce. Fought for the title. It's a great idea. Why wouldn't you do that? I think she's trying to aim to do that. And the reason why I think that, I think she's going to go defend her title at Invicta and then come back to the UFC and deal to fight Ultimate Fighter season 25, maybe 26. The thing is, we don't know what next season is yet. Usually by this point, we know who is next. We know who the coaches are. We know maybe not weight class, but usually at this point, we just saw the Ultimate Fighter season 24 come to an end. We don't know what's next. I think that's really weird. I know they're getting to the end of their FS1 contract, I'm pretty sure, but does anyone know? And I heard from a little birdie, I know I keep saying this, but I heard from a little birdie that she will be fighting sometime around February. I do believe it's for Invicta, though. I don't think it's fair that she comes to the UFC, fights 3 times while she's still in the Invicta. I know it's still, on UFC Fight Pass and whatnot, but got to go defend that title. She did what she could. If they don't put this together now, why would she even go? If she's not taking this, why would she go back to fight at a catchweight? Not going to happen again. You're not going to see that happen again. So is this it for Cyborg? No, right? It can't be it for Cyborg. They're going to do something. They're going to sweeten this deal. They're going to promote the shit out of this, and you should. There were confrontations with Cyborg and Dana White in the past with things that Dana said. I'm not going to strike him for that or anything, but, ever since then, gave Cyborg the chance, and man, she's shined. Beating Leslie Smith down in Brazil for her debut fight, that was amazing. Being at Landsberg, that was amazing. What's next? Give this girl a title shot. That's what I think is going to happen, guys. She's going to go defend the title. Boom. Then they're going to do a season Ultimate Fighter with her. What do you guys think? Let me know on Twitter at EVil_Echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Or, where is it? At Pure Evil MMA up on Twitter. It doesn't get any easier than that. Let's quickly rate UFC 206 as a pay-per-view, and then we'll rate UFC Albany really quick as a free card. And don't forget, guys, not next week, but the week after, as soon as Ronda Rousey fights Amanda Nunes, or Nunes, however you want to say it, we're going to be doing the finale show. So there's going to be categories like Fight of the Year, Best Debut Fight of the Year, Most Improved Fighter of the Year, Best Fighter Under 25, Fight of the Year, Submission of the Year, Knockout of the Year. And we're going to have people from Bloody Elbow on. We're going to have Meetings, Fight Scene, Ted Check, Bry Shell. We're going to have fighters, see whatever. We're gonna have it all, and it's gonna be a blast, a party, a celebration, because it's been an amazing year. We've seen UFC grow. I think we definitely took a step forward here this year, and it needs to be celebrated. We're gonna bring all the big dogs in. I want to know, who was your favorite interview this year? Was it Mayhem Miller? Was it Bilal Muhammad? Was it Paul Felder? Was it Jarena Barge? Was it Monica Franco? I know a lot of you guys really enjoyed Monica when she came on Pure Evil MMA. And there's going to be big changes. We're going to be moving to frontproofmedia.com. We're going to be changing our website. I'm going from prowrestlingauthority.com over to frontproofmedia.com. Pure Evil MMA will now be on its own on Twitter and podbean.com. So let's rate this event. UFC Albany as a whole, as a free card, I give it 3 stars. And I know you guys might think that's rough. But it was entertaining, it was decent, but it's not going to bring in anyone else. Not going to bring in the numbers that we. One problem was Derek Lewis is fighting a guy that nobody knows. You got a star from Derek Lewis. You did the perfect thing in that last fight. You had him fight Roy Nelson, a star that we all are very familiar with on that season Ultimate Fighter, beating Brendan Schaub, beating Kimbo Slice, a champion before he was even in the UFC, we all know. You had Derek Lewis beat him, and then you take a step backward. What are you doing? I know that you gave him a main event. That's great for the promotion, but going up against 15th ranked guy when he's at 10th, you're taking a step backwards. Not only that, the dude put up one hell of a fight. Dude was a tougher opponent, in my opinion, than freaking Roy Nelson. Then again, he wasn't really coming forward that much. He was eating that. Every time Derek Lewis would make that kick, there was nothing that he could do. He was just getting taken down. And that was just killing it. But he ended up getting the TKO. Wasn't happy with the performance. I give it 3 stars. I'm happy with Derek Lewis's performance. There's nothing that he should beat himself up over. But definitely moving forward. And I like seeing that out of fighters, that he wasn't happy with what he did in there. So he's going to be making some changes, making some improvements. Let's move on to UFC 206. Now, last night I said this deserves 4 stars. Now, when I said that, I'm talking about in a whole. I'm not talking about just the pay-per-view main event. We're going to judge that differently. So as a whole, I give that 4 stars. Great main card. 3 fights to end the free card on FS1 were amazing. It wasn't up there with some of the rest that we've seen so far this year as a whole pay-per-view. It wasn't. We've seen amazing cards this year. Really hard. I know when it's fresh, you guys get really hyped up. You're like, no, this was the best one. Gotta wait a day or two, calm down, rethink about it. As a whole, I'm still going with 4 stars. As pay-per-view main card, though, Max Holloway, Showtime Pettis. We had Donald Cerrone, Matt Brown getting the knockout. We had Cub Swanson versus the Superboy. Yu Ho Choi. That was a crazy fight. Tim Kennedy making his return against Kelvin Gastelum. The energy, the excitement, the stories that we're all familiar with, seeing all these guys that we're very familiar with, and knowing that the situation that they're on. Now, the very first fight went to a decision, but that's because the DC fight got dropped off, so they had to move it up, fix it all up. Still had to make the free card on FS1 nice for us, leaving Krylov, Serkinov, and Albion, Drew Dober on there, Valerie Letourneau. They were getting all that for free. You still got to sell it for people to want to buy that pay-per-view, but as a main event card, as that, not as a whole, I'm giving it 5 stars, guys. And we're going to be rating all the pay-per-views this year on season finale show. Make sure you guys subscribe down below. Every Wednesday night, we're going to be going live with Ted Check. Thanks for tuning in. This was Pure Evil MMA breakdown and recap of UFC 206, UFC Albany. And really quick, shout out to our boy Rob Emerson. We just had him on the show here on YouTube. You can check it down below. He became a 2-division champion over the weekend. Absolutely amazing, man. Said that he had a dream about it. Said that he dreamed of that happening. He gets the knockout in the first round, the TKO all over. 2-division champion. We remember him from that season, Ultimate Fighter, but Nick Diaz was on it. BJ Penn was the coach. This dude trains with BJ Penn. Let's bring him back to the UFC. I think it's time. He's a 2-division champion now. The weight class that he was in when he was on that season Ultimate Fighter wasn't the weight class that he should have been fighting at. So a huge shout out to our boy Rob Emerson for becoming a 2-division champion. Congratulations, brother. You're listening to Pure Evil MMA. Have a great weekend. And most of all, guys, you better freaking behave yourselves. Make sure you guys check out the podcast on Apple iTunes and Podbean.com.